Hi, Grace the Book Lady, and I have for you today Thanksgiving at the Tappletons by Eileen Spinelli and illustrated by Maryann Cocca Leffler. Here's a cover for you. And here we go. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons was always a big day. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons meant, of course, the Tappleton family, Mr. Tappleton, Mrs. Tappleton, Jenny Tappleton, Kenny Tappleton, and Grandma and Grandfather Tappleton, and Aunt Hedda and Uncle Fritz, and most certainly, of course, the turkey and the trimmings. The Tappleton family album and the turkey. It was still dark. Mrs. Tappleton lit the oven and took the big turkey out of the refrigerator. Just then, someone knocked at the kitchen door. It was Mike the milkman. "Good morning, Mrs. Tappleton. I thought you might like some eggnog for the holiday." As Mrs. Tappleton reached for the eggnog, the turkey slipped from under her arm. Now, on a warmer day, this might not have been a problem, but this Thanksgiving Day it was quite cold, and the step was covered with ice. There she is, setting up the turkey, and there's the turkey falling from under her arm. It's kind of weird, right? Why would you put the turkey under your arm? Let's find out. Before she or Mike could even think, the turkey had slithered into the yard. "Get it!" shouted Mrs. Tappleton. Mike reached out, and the turkey skidded past him, through the gate and onto the street. "Hurry!" screamed Mrs. Tappleton. "Stop that turkey!" Oh, no. There is the turkey, sliding away. Oh, what a mess. The milkman chased the turkey. Mrs. Tappleton chased the milkman, and the turkey slid down the hill into the pond. Plop, splash, it bubbled out of sight. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. There it is. It's sinking into a pond. When Mr. Tappleton came down to breakfast, he took a long sniff. "I don't smell the turkey," he said to his wife. "Of course you don't smell the turkey," she replied. "You have a cold." "I don't have a cold," he insisted. Mrs. Tappleton shook some pepper in the air, and her husband sneezed. "See," she said, "you do have a cold." Oh dear. There he is sneezing. After breakfast, Mr. Tappleton put on his coat and scarf and hat and gloves. "I'm going to the bakery to buy our pies." Mrs. Tappleton handed him his boots. "Wear these," she said. "I know for a fact it's quite slippery out today." Sim's Bakery was so crowded the line reached out into the sidewalk. Mr. Tappleton hated to wait in long lines, so he went to the diner for a cup of coffee. So he's looking at the line in the bakery while he's having a hot cup of coffee. I don't think this is a good idea for some reason. Let's see what happens. By the time he got back, the long line was gone, and so were the pies. See, I could feel it. No pumpkin pie, no mince, no rhubarb, nothing. Mr. Tappleton was afraid to go home with nothing. "2 boxes tied up with string, please," he said. Mrs. Sims stared at him. "You mean 2 empty boxes?" "That's right." "They feel light," remarked Mrs. Tappleton. "Certainly they're light," retorted Mr. Tappleton. "Mrs. Sim prides herself on the how light her pies are." Yeah, this is not a good plan. So there he is getting 2 empty boxes he's bringing home. So Mrs. Tappleton has no turkey. Mr. Tappleton has no pies. Oh boy. Oh boy. Mrs. Tappleton set the table. She called to her son, "Kenny, you may make the salad. There's lettuce in the crisper and carrots and radishes too." Kenny's face grew pale. Just yesterday he had emptied the crisper and fed all the vegetables to the rabbits in Mr. Butterworth's class. He used the salad to feed the rabbits. How could he tell this to his mother? He couldn't, so he covered the empty salad bowl with aluminum foil and stuck it in the back of the refrigerator. So there he is, feeding the rabbits. So the class rabbits. So Mrs. Tappleton lost the turkey. Mr. Tappleton didn't get any pies. And Kenny did away with the salad. Yeah, there's not going to be anything to eat. They're going to starve. When the others went to pick up the relatives at the train station, Jenny stayed behind to mash the potatoes. Every year, this was her job. She loved it. This year, she thought, I'll make them even better. I'll use the blender. Okay, this doesn't feel good. Let's see. Just as Jenny flicked on the switch, the phone rang, and it was her best friend, Nora. If there was one thing Jenny loved to do better than mashed potatoes, it was talk. Jenny talked and talked and talked to Nora, and she might still be talking today, had not a wet glump of something hit her on the head. She turned to see it was splat, and another glump hit her in the face. The blender was going wild, and mashed potatoes were flying everywhere. There she is, she's starting, and there are the clumps smacking her in the face. Oh dear, oh dear. What else is going to happen? Without even saying goodbye to Nora, Jenny hung up the phone, scrubbed her face, and wiped mashed potatoes off nearly everything in the kitchen. She finished just as the others came back. Uncle Fritz patted his stomach. "I'm hungry," he said. Grandfather Tappleton laughed. "I'm as hungry as an elephant." Everyone sat down at the table. It was a Tappleton tradition for Grandfather to say the Thanksgiving prayer. "As soon as the turkey is ready," she smiled. "I'm as hungry as 2 elephants," said Grandfather. Mr. Tappleton went to the oven. "I'll carve the turkey now." He opened the oven door. There is everybody coming in, and there they are sitting down at the table. Oh, this is not going to be pretty. Let's see what happens. The turkey is gone! Mr. Tappleton searched on the table and under the table and in every kitchen cabinet. He looked into the sink and he looked into the broom closet. "I cannot find the turkey anywhere." Mrs. Tappleton took a deep breath. She told them how their fine turkey had slipped out the door and down the steps and across the yard and through the gate and down the street and plop splash into the pond. So so much for the turkey, said Uncle Fritz, and his stomach mumbled a little louder. "Never mind," said Aunt Hedda good-naturedly. "We'll fill up on the trimmings." Mr. Tappleton looking for the turkey. That is now sitting at the bottom of the pond, of course. "I'll get the salad," Jenny announced. Then Grandmother came to say the prayer. Grandmother can't say the prayer. Jenny sat the bowl down on the table and peeled off the aluminum foil. Everyone stared at the salad that was not there. "I fed the rabbits in school," Kenny confessed. Uncle Fritz looked downright gloomy. So much for the salad. His stomach rumbled again. "I'm as hungry as 3 elephants," Grandpa sighed. Kenny jumped up. "We'll have Jenny's mashed potatoes." He brought the pot from the kitchen and lifted the lid. "I was on the phone," Jenny said meekly, "and the blender went wild." "So much for the potatoes," said Uncle Fritz. His stomach rumbled even more. I'm as hungry as 4 elephants, Grandfather declared. So there's the empty salad, and there's the empty mashed potatoes. They're not going to eat anything today, it looks like. The pies, cried Mrs. Tappleton. I'll get the pies. I'll say grace as soon as the pies are cut, Grandma smiled. Mrs. Tappleton brought in the boxes, set them down, and untied the string. You brought home 2 empty boxes? She glared at Mr. Tappleton, who covered his ears. 5 elephants, groaned Grandfather. The dining room was quiet. Everyone looked down at the empty table. Uncle Fritz muttered something, but it could not be heard above the rumble of his stomach. A tear rolled down Jenny's cheek. No Thanksgiving dinner, she sniffed. Nothing to say a prayer for, sighed Kenny. The empty boxes and the upset empty table. Everybody's upset. Grandmother smiled. Of course there's something. There is more to Thanksgiving than turkey and trimmings. And then Grandmother Tappleton asked everyone to bow their heads and hold hands around the dining room table. And this is the Thanksgiving prayer she said. Turkeys come and turkeys go, and trimmings can be lost, we know. But we're together, and that's what matters, not what's served upon the platters. Amen. That was a wonderful prayer, said Aunt Hedda. Mrs. Tappleton jumped up. We have liverwurst and cheese in the refrigerator. I'll help fix the sandwiches, offered Mr. Tappleton. Jenny wiped her tear away. I'll get the pickles. Kenny laughed. I'll open a jar of applesauce for dessert. They made the best of their holiday. And so the Tappletons had their Thanksgiving dinner after all. Uncle Fritz's stomach stopped rumbling, and Grandfather Tappleton ate enough liverwurst to feed 6 elephants. In fact, everyone had plenty to eat, but most of all, they had each other. And the caption under the picture says, Our best Thanksgiving. The Tappletons. So that was Thanksgiving at the Tappleton by Eileen Spinelli and illustrated by Maryann Cocca Leffler. I hope you have a good Thanksgiving. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.